when all the right leftists and liberals and lunatics and all the other intellectually degraded creatures that make up the left, when those people hate you, you're doing something right, man. You are over the target for sure. And Larry Elder's one of those people, or Uncle Larry, I think the leftists like to call him, or the black face of white supremacy, which is my favorite. That's what the people responsible for the destruction of California like to call him. But whatever you want to call him, if you're honest and you're objective, you have to appreciate the man's honesty. And you got to appreciate the guy has got a way with words. And I found a really, really great old clip of him and old Michael Rapaport. And I say old Michael Rapaport because, to his credit, he's a guy that's absolutely seen the light lately as well. But still, this is a great, great old clip.
But Trump got elected publicly giving nicknames, sexualized hands, all the bullshit that he did. And I know you don't curse. How can you support this guy?
I'm watching the Golf Channel.
Give it to me straight. Don't give me about the golf.
I'm watching the Golf Channel.
Don't Tiger Woods me here like the Jack Nicholson me.
And I love the sport, although I don't play it. I like where the ball lands on immigration, on judges, on taxes, on losing the regulations, on reversing the war against oil and gas, on standing up to China. That's what I like. The rest of it is white noise, pardon the expression.
But is it white noise, Larry?
To me, it is.
How about that, man? I mean, when you think about it, like really, really think about it, that says it all pretty perfect. And it really, I think, sums up most, if not all, of Donald Trump's support. I mean, for all the talk from the left about Republicans or conservatives or the far right or alt-right, whatever the buzzword, whatever they want to call us today, right? The left says that all the right really cares about are culture war this and culture war that, culture war issues. And when you look at it, that's how the left treats Donald Trump. I mean, they get lost in talking about his demeanor and his language and his personality and his intelligence or whatever. They don't want to talk about where the ball actually lands. They just want to talk about the swing. Whereas, the people that actually support Donald Trump, we don't honestly care what the guy's swing looks like. We care about the score. We care about the results. And I thought that was a pretty damn good way to put it. And the interesting thing is, even after all these years of the left, dissecting the man's game in the most unimportant ways possible, the majority of people are still just focused on the score, probably more now than ever. And, here's something interesting regarding where the ball lands on immigration.
To me, the biggest delta there, and the math, you can correct my math, is on the Hispanic number, from 53 to 17. Yep. That's remarkable. You see something similar that's happened with the whole conversation around tariffs in China. Things that Donald Trump talked about in 2016 were out of the bounds even within the Republican Party, and now they've entered in the mainstream. And when the top line number there was 62% supporting deportation? Mm-hmm. That's a remarkable number. Yeah. And, again, it's just one poll, but it seems like to bear out across a lot of polls.
I mean, here's the amazing thing, man. That poll, it's not an outlier. That's the third or fourth example of a poll showing that over 60% of American voters actually support some plan for mass deportation, right? Which really, I think, does restore some faith in the voters as a whole. People aren't falling for the leftist garbage anymore. You can fill every yard in the neighborhood with "no man is illegal" signs or whatever. And that's great. And that sounds fantastic. It's a wonderful feeling thing. But in actual practice, it just doesn't work, man. Like every other Democrat hot button issue, it's all smoke. It's all noise. It does not work. And if you look at the polling, man, people recognize that it doesn't work. And the Democrats are really, they're left on only one issue to run on. And even on that one, I don't think they have the messaging.
We'll run through them. Trump up 17 on the economy, up 21 on inflation, up 17 on crime. Doubles Biden on the border, up 30 points, up 10 on foreign policy as it pertains to both Ukraine and Israel. The only issue where those numbers are flipped, at least these that we're looking at, is on the topic of abortion.
Interesting, those economy and inflation. So those are the two most important, I think, items on the policy agenda for American people. And you see that. I mean, go back to those numbers really quick. 52 versus 35, 51 versus 30. And it's interesting, when we had Donald Trump on Sean Hannity's show for that town hall, the one thing that came out to me during that interview, and it's one of the, it was that he was such a businessman. He seemed really genuinely upset that we were losing to China right now. Like, there is a competitiveness about him, and you can feel it. Like, he just can't stand what's happening in his country, and he really wants, as a businessman, to win.
You know, it always finds a way to come down to the very, very same tired old issues with the left for most of the past 60 years, really. I mean, and this is why they never actually codified Roe. You know, they never actually did their jobs. They never legislated. It was never worth it to them to actually solve the issue. It's always been more useful as a wedge issue, you know, a partisan dividing line. But honestly, in all this time, in all this practice, they still haven't even figured out how to run on it. I mean, they can't even honestly talk about it. They can't even really tell you what it is, tell you what they mean. You know, they call it, you know, reproductive health or women's rights or whatever watered down verbiage some focus groups told them is the best. And here's the thing, man, you know, that kind of stuff works, but it only works when people can afford energy and afford food and afford housing and afford to live. You know, it's easy to care about whatever they command you to care about when life is good. But when life is the kind of life that most people experience under Joe Biden, it's a pretty damn hard time to care about anything other than the fact that you had it better 4 years ago. And there's no way around that. I mean, you may not have liked the guy's swing, but in hindsight, especially, you sure as hell like the score. But that's just my take, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, guys, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.